Hi, Liz. Can you hear me okay?
I don't think I can hear you.
Ah, okay. I can hear you.
I don't know if that's me.
My mic jumps around. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. And now? No. It's strange. It's working in Zoom. Your sound's turned up. Yes.
Maybe now? Maybe it was me.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, shoot. It is me. I'm just an
Hello.
idiot. Try again.
Hello.
Yep. Had a audio jack
Yeah, okay, good.
with not connected.
Cool.
I have not had coffee, and you can tell. And I was trying
That will do it.
to be prepared because I have to leave in like 15 minutes because I finally get my vaccine.
Hey.
Oh, excellent news. Hello, good morning.
Well, good morning.
Goodness gracious. I'm living the dream here.
Cool, you just missed all the technical difficulties.
Oh.
So
Good. Jump in at the right time.
we're up and running.
So you miss Liz being an idiot.
So, let me share my screen. Great. So what I'm working on right now, just starting, is the refresh page. Is the Curvenote latex repo, latex templates repo. So we're going to start sort of stubbing something out here, and this is likely to change quite a lot over the next week or so as we figure out where it should live properly. It's here at the moment, what sort of structure we need, etc. But the first thing we're going to do is sort of move our default template out into here and have it such that any template that is sort of used to build a PDF in Curvenote will actually be pulled out with this repo. And so that it's possible for others to come along, contribute, provide a PR with a new template, and then that will come in and appear in Curvenote itself. Great. Appear in a piece of new UI where you can decide which template that you want to put in. So we'll be able to show more on this next week, but basically we're going to expect to have maybe a whole bunch of folders full of different templates with the template files themselves, and then some sort of options configuration, which is going to probably have a mix of sort of metadata that we can use for like tagging and make it a bit more searchable, and also sort of override options, which we've got an inkling of a couple at the moment. We already know things like the differences between the different document classes, the different base document classes in LaTeX. No, you have a report or you have an article, and they have implications on which other LaTeX commands are going to actually do anything in the report. So I think we're going to be collecting in probably about a collection. I don't know if like 5 or 10, a good snapshot of some different templates, and then figuring out what an initial option structure is like around that.
Yeah.
Which may be very
Yeah.
different from this. I mean, it's
Yeah, even things like font and margin size and line spacing. Like I feel like there's a bunch of these sort of basic pieces that you could maybe pull in and compose. The sort of the
A4
options.
versus letter.
Yeah.
For example, because I'm in the A4 world at the moment, and I think that's baked into the template actually. I'm not sure that has to come out pretty quick.
Oh, okay.
But
Wait, is
anyway,
A4 standard paper size?
A4 is the standard paper size, yeah.
Okay.
And then
Like everywhere else, basically.
sorry, but A4 is the metric.
Oh, so it's not
of
8.5
paper
by
size.
11? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Which is what we call it in North America, maybe?
Which is A4? Is that what A4 is? 8.5 by 11 in America, or that's your letter?
I don't know. I mean, like my knowledge of this area of the world is not.
Pulling back my printing days of working IT and printing, and I don't.
Okay, so that equals 8.27 by 11.7. So it's not. Maybe it's not quite the same. I don't know.
No, it's not.
Weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're like the closest to.
They're kind of my piece of paper that I can check this as well. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Printers basically will figure it out.
But A's are like the metric of the because then we've got letter, legal,
letter size,
legal,
so
and then A4.
That's so funny.
Because you know how the A4s work though. You've got A0, A1, A2, A3, A4. You keep folding in half.
Okay. I didn't know.
And then you add the joy of envelope sizes on top of it.
We're not printing envelopes, are we? No.
What? I can't print a
different business.
I'm very upset.
Yeah. Exactly. There's these higher level options, definitely, about paper sizes and portrait landscape. Where does that usually fit in a that's a high level option, is it?
I think it's a per page option. So the only time I've actually used that is like large scale figures, and like in my thesis, for example, I had some tables that only fit across the screen or across the piece of paper.
Yeah.
And so that was a per element sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
so exactly, we'll tease all this out. There's definitely some high level options around margins, paper size, font, maybe base font size, and then everything's relative to that, and etc.
Yeah, so it'll be cool to see what you tease apart, and I think it's like getting fast to like sort of 10 or so examples that are a little varied and seeing what the commonalities are across all of them.
Exactly. And then these options are going to allow us to, I guess, bake in. Well, there's maybe two things. There's maybe like overrides where we have to override something for this template in order for it to be compatible. And then there's options, which then we're providing the sensible defaults that maybe a user can decide what they want to choose between. Or
super cool.
Yeah, so this might turn into this might be more where we want to list out sort of valid options with the default. So this template is possible to choose between A, B, C.
Yeah.
And then so give that option.
And then that translates to the user interface nicely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we can keep that sort of coupled there, and that form in the options, which I think if we skip back to what we were talking about a couple of meetups ago, yeah, coming into this thing here. Yeah. So this thing is going to be pulling things out of that repo and giving you the options based on that. Maybe here with the sort of listing or tags filtering, like you say, what happens when we get many? You know, want some way to sort of filter that out. And then the options themselves will be exposed on something other than a post-it, but on a UI driven by that options file. Cool. I'm excited to have something more next week to actually show that or some of that in place.
That's so cool.
Great. What else has been happening?
I can maybe show a demo of that.
Yeah, definitely. I've just been checking the release notes, so I want to see all these new editor improvements.
Just getting set up. So I'm actually like pretty stoked about this side of things. And I think Liz, especially, like you would be sort of playing around with linking a lot of stuff as well. So right now there's so you can create an article. Oh, sorry, I need to refresh. That's what I need, the new version. That always helps. So you can create links to articles right now. So if you start typing article, you can hit enter, and then that searches all of the articles that are in this project. And so I can have a link to some ideas or something like that. And then
what did those two buttons do? Sorry.
There is open a new tab and unlink.
What did you think about opening in this tab?
So I realized that in your demo when you did that wasn't doing, but if you save, then it does work. And so
okay.
maybe it's like a different option.
Oh, that's interesting, man. Yeah, because to be honest, sometimes you don't want to move away from the editor, but you might want to test the link.
Yeah.
But that's it. But then once you're saved, you've got your content, and you're moving through it.
Yeah.
In the same tab. What do you think? What does that feel like to you, Liz?
No, I mean, I can do it like this. I guess I'm always just happier to open a new tab in general. Just
okay.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
I'd rather have to close a tab than have to be like, oh crap, where was I?
Yeah, so in like, well, I don't know, thinking about this, like a textbook or something like that. That's not a great landing page. These links load in the same page. And so that's certainly what I was thinking about, is that you're not navigating away if you're browsing the content, but if you're editing the content, then you click in this and then you have the ability to check where did this link come from, basically.
So if you say hover over it in non-edit mode, is it something that you could give the option to the user then, or the reader, I guess, more so, that they could click that, like click the little button that would then take them to a new tab?
Yeah,
just
what I
don't remember some of the keyword shortcuts or things like that.
Yeah, totally. I think I do want to have some of this like
Well, yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah,
this
definitely.
world in there
Yeah.
where you can hover over something and you get other information about it really quickly.
Yeah. You don't need to go
And
there
that is,
potentially.
well, in
Because-
progress feature
Yeah.
that I was, well, thinking through some of this, like some of my own previous work, but also looking at things like actually Wikipedia. You can see that I'm checking out.
I could even see as part of that. Yeah, just like having the button in there that just says, like if you click anywhere else, it just takes you to the page. Whereas if you specifically click on that open in a new tab button.
Yeah. Is having some parity between that. I think would be quite cool is, again, this sort of idea that's coming from like, yeah, a Wikipedia-like hovering environment where you don't actually have to visit the page to have a bit of information about that.
What
And
does
then
that settings do? I'm sort of surprised by that. Was that
this
because
is you can turn off your preferences.
okay.
I think I'm signed
Okay.
into Wikipedia, so maybe that's why it's showing. So I guess the other thing that I was also starting to realize with this editor environment is now, so we have this ability now to search through all sorts of content. You can have your citations in here, and so I can look at all of my references quite easily. I could just look at the Simpeg one and really easily start to have ways to edit that content, which I think like that side of things is like totally cool.
That's amazing. It's the pull rather than the push.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
I think is great. You stay in place and yeah. Can you drag around the links then as well? I hadn't tried to do that.
No.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
so this is, well, I think it is actually like worth thinking about is like right now, this is actually a hyperlink. Like this is an anchored HTML tag. And there's some other ways that we could integrate to actually make this a thing. And like it's then a node or whatever that you can drag around. But right now it's just a link, which makes it actually like super weird.
Yeah, it's strange that you. Yeah, no, but I see what you mean though, because usually with a hyperlink, you write it in line, and then you link it in line. It's not quite. Yeah. It's not usually a thing you drag around.
So, like for example, I can like select the W in here, copy it, paste it into that, and now I'm like splitting up the.
Interesting. So if I want to rename as well, I can just go into that W and type out.
Yeah, or in here. Now you're just like renaming it.
Yeah, you're right. It's very different from the references. It isn't inline thing.
Yeah, like we're not as structured, and I think there's like maybe actually both ways to do it, but I think this needs a lot more experimentation and testing.
Awesome. I just love the way now you're able to reach into the project and see inside the project in terms of the blocks. You can filter and type, and you can do that without having to. You see, here's the other thing though. What it makes me think of, if you just do cite again. Yeah. What are you thinking now about inserting the table of references or the list of references? Should that be a block or should that be an inline view like this?
I guess the way that I was thinking of doing it is that like you go into the settings or something up here, and that can like it's
a property of the article.
It's property of the article. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a footer bar maybe as well, or it's or show license on footer, or it's.
I don't know. I obviously haven't got there yet. I think like one of the other things that could be like very cool is having, if I wanted to actually do that, then we could actually pull from this page and sort of like treat Wikipedia, for example, as a types of content that you can integrate directly into Curvenote articles. And so
And
we're
then
sort of
that's a
bridging that gap.
It's sort of a search then over geology, because you wouldn't have to try and name the exact page. You'd get up a list of.
Yeah. So you can use the Wikipedia API to search. You can use the Wikipedia API to give that generation of the content and the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Like all of this, which I think is like, Wikipedia outputs are fantastic, but you can't, like, it's not easy to start to write and incorporate this sort of research networked content into any document that you are creating on your own.
No.
Which I see that as like, this is,
Yeah.
I mean, when I was doing research, I'd like, especially in like deep, like mathematical fields and that sort of stuff, is like Wikipedia is actually pretty good at being that textbook.
Yeah.
And so I would still be pulling in references and citations from there, but
It's exactly what I used to do. I mean, you read the paper a bit. Well, you do an initial fast read review, then it'd be down to the references section. You'd pick up, you'd find the reading on.
Yeah.
You'd come back, and then you'd go out and get those, and then you try to bring that in context. And that's a massive long loop, especially when there's interlibrary loans in the middle.
Yeah. That's totally funny.
But you could short circuit that and make it about a pool mechanism where you can pool things in.
Yep.
I wonder how often I'd be scratch padding with stuff like that. I mean, imagine, because you use it for note taking as well. Imagine starting off a block of notes and you're actually just pulling in reference articles and you end up with a list of resources.
Yep.
There's actually your research. It's not you recording it. You actually use the UI to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole different way to like start thinking about like literature reviews and the value that you're bringing of that sort of scratch pad style.
Yeah.
And this is the way that like Lindsay's worked in the past, and I've had some conversations with her about like the value of that curated set of information. Just like your list of references, my supervisor gave me that, like his list of references, which was 1,000 links to PDFs or whatever. And like for me, I'd search that graph before I would actually go and do a lit review on my own, because there is some level of curation that was put in by him on these are the references that he cared enough to include in this list.
Yeah. But it's incredibly difficult to manage that.
Yeah.
And I didn't use many reference managers at all. I looked at one very briefly, but it felt like just a step back in time.
Yeah.
In terms of the UI. It was a desktop thing, and it was very difficult to manage.
Yep.
I like the accelerators, though. I like the double bracket and the fact that we're expanding on that, because that was already in for something, was it? No.
It was in, and it was just searching citations. So this is sort of what it was equivalently, and then now it is like all sorts of, it's all of the content in this project tree, notebooks and articles, and then I think probably including that and opening up to internal references, so section numbers, image references, and tables and equations. And so that's, which is pretty, I think that'll be the next step of this, is to start going down that path.
Cool. And that's that little notebook icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very little teensy tiny notebook icon. Should at least help you differentiate between notebooks and articles if possibly
Yeah.
images or something else in the future as well. Awesome. I don't know. I feel like we lost Liz somewhere. Maybe
Liz
she's on the exit.
had she's off to get her vaccine.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. What
I'm
else?
excited about the template side of things.
Yeah. And we've had some improvements to the editor as well, and the layout, sorry. The layout is now improved. They've improved sidebar. Which we can hide. Let's say it doesn't need to be there all the time. And we can and now when it goes to mobile mode, it behaves like a real menu. Look, it gets out of the way, which is brilliant. What do you think of a full height? I mean, there's not much in here, as in there's only 5 things. There's lots of free space, but that looks.
It looks a lot better than it does hanging.
Yeah.
In mobile, whereas here now it looks better if it's short.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I'm stoked about the new layout system. There's a lot of things in my my world that like super long Curvenote projects and lots of stuff inside them. So
yeah,
super cool.
Great.
Awesome.
Cool. I think that's all I had to cover. To be honest, this week. This templating stuff's going to be interesting, and like I say, we'll try and get a big enough collection.
Dragon is coming.
To
yeah, well, I don't know.
I think I'll put a call out for templates as well on the Slack channel.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Just see if we can get some suggestions from people.
Yep.
Hi, Dragan.
Hello. Sorry for being late. Was held up by work meetings.
No worries.
Yeah, we had some people earlier on, but they've now left.
Oh. Are there some interesting topics to discuss that I might be of help to you?
Well, today there's 2 things we mainly talked about. One was the LaTeX template. So we are going to we've just set up a repository, and we're going to do some work to expand this and design a system where we can fill this up with LaTeX templates with some type of options, overrides, configuration alongside them, so that then Curvenote, when you actually go to generate a PDF from an article, our expanded workflow for that is that when you hit that download, instead of just jumping straight into the generation, you'll have some more configuration options where you can actually choose a template and also configure some options. And we were just talking about, we probably want to get minimum 10, maybe more templates in for sort of various types of targets, and then figure out what the sort of common options are to start properly designing that sort of option spec. So I guess, we know of a few places to go out and sort of look for templates. There's a bunch of templates online. CC BY, I think a lot of institutions as well publish their templates. It's easy to get templates for certain conferences and stuff, so we can go there. I just wonder, is there any that you use, or
no?
Do you go to LaTeX at all or not?
I'm handling LaTeX with I'm not sure how to pronounce catex. Catex?
KTech.
Yeah.
Kata,
I
yeah.
don't know. It's like I don't know how to pronounce it. I think I've only said it to myself. So.
Catex? Not sure, really. But yeah, I'm using that. But it seems like you guys are like using those smaller components for LaTeX, and obviously doing PDF export. So that and I read that you're using something else for LaTeX at all.
Exotech, I think.
We're using Exotech.
Yeah, totally unfamiliar with it.
I think it's not a million miles away from just the PDF LaTeX base, but it's something about the character sets and the font handling, and there's a whole bunch of stuff already loaded, apparently.
Yeah, a lot of, well, I don't know, if you put like an emoji into a Curvenote editor, that like destroys LaTeX at the end of the day. And so with Exotech, it handles all sorts of Unicode characters and all sorts of other stuff, and doesn't die as often.
Does that like have all the functionality of LaTeX? Like you can write your own. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's like PDF. There's like tech and LaTeX and PDF LaTeX and Exotech are sort of maybe a stack.
Yeah. And then it branches off. No, there's various other flavors as well.
Yeah.
MimTech and there's, I think,
Sounds simple and beautiful.
Yeah.
It's quite an ecosystem.
It's an ecosystem. Yeah, absolutely. Like and it's very different than a programming language, I suppose, in terms of like it's just a non-standard language.
When I was considering what options are, I was utterly confused by just number of options, and then like what are the differences. But yeah, it seems that you already figured out what works for you quite well and handles a lot of functionality that users need. So
yeah, because Cartech is like MathJax. It's the math subset of LaTeX.
Yeah,
it's covering. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there something that you wanted to cover? I think we talked on a bit about the editor and some of our open source projects.
So I used Curvenote a bit more, and I know as a user, some parts of UI were unexpected. I was confused by UI. That's kind of the gist of it. Different. And then I noticed also at the same time people were talking about like, why do we have buttons that have the same label and are doing different things, and like they are in different places, but like one is doing versioning for the entire article and one is just for cells blocks, and like the general feedback that I have perhaps for today is like UI could be somehow improved. For example, I was completely unsure how to change the image that now is like Curvenote releases with Rocket. Like, can I change it? How do I change it? Is that I changed some image, which I'm not sure what changed. So there were some elements that were very unintuitive, and I think part of it, like part of the problem, is that I'm not sure how those intents for elements aren't clear. Like if you have an outline button and a button that is blue, I expect all the things that are blue are clickable, and all the things that are out like that have a line of one, just like it's an empty button. It has a white background, but it has a border. I expect it to also be clickable, but like it has a lower priority. So intents of things are very unclear. And I saw, so like there are blue buttons and there is that main sidebar on the left side, which is all blue. And like, why is that thing all blue? Like,
here. Yeah.
So kind of figuring out, so literally as a user, not as a programmer, I was really unsure what is clickable, what changes what, and what impacts what. And so I know from like talking with you and like seeing also on the Slack that there are some powerful features, but I don't think at all that they are like just
accessible.
shown correctly or
Yeah.
expressed correctly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the feedback perhaps for today.
That's really cool. That's really good. That's really useful.
Yeah. No, that's super helpful.
So I mean, I was super confused by that little hamburger thingy hiding the sidebar, and like they're literally not connected. They're like visually not connected. Like why? Why? Like I was imagining that this was some main menu, and I was trying to figure out the sidebar, how to hide it. Like I would expect some, I know, arrow to the left on it or something like that. So there's some disconnect between the things, like what handles what. And again, that's repeated for the buttons, handling different, like versioning for different things, and intents. Like you really want to push for, I know, like why is publish outlined and so invisible and in the header, like you really want to put emphasis on important things. And I don't think that's being done like the best that it could be done.
Yeah. Okay. Because I guess this made sense with a hamburger, and then
yes,
because that's like a normal sort of mobile metaphor. But then we pop off here.
Yeah.
The fact that this controls that, whereas maybe if the hamburger was here or some control.
I mean, if you stick the sidebar always to the left side, it like stays at least visually connected. So
yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I talked with you guys and I like learned about some more things and how to use the Curvenote, and like, okay, I know what to expect better, and then like, let me try to use it, and I failed. So that's kind of the thing. Like, what can I click? What can I change? What affects what? What are my main focuses? So I opened the app after our discussion, and it didn't make sense to me that the sidebar is like that vibrant, vivid blue. Like, is that really that important? Like, it's not. Like the important part is putting the content, and the sidebar is something that you use from time to time. So I was surprised to see like how much visual emphasis is in the sidebar. Like I don't care about that for now, for the beginning, and especially not if I'm just like being onboarded currently. So like I don't care about creating a bunch of different documents. Like I just want to try different features in the editor because like that's the main focus. So yeah, as a user, I was kind of lost.
So okay, so I totally get and I think we'll probably make some changes based on this on the layout side. When you actually got into edit mode, and then hoping you got that far, were there pieces on the version control that you found especially confusing?
So nothing that other people haven't mentioned, like, and again, I knew from before, just a moment, I knew.
Yeah, I think Steve, we definitely need to make some changes on the sidebar navigation, and I think the blue comment that we're using that as sort of a primary button color
too. Yeah,
it doesn't make sense over here.
Yeah, sorry. And yeah, about versioning. So I knew that there is versioning for the article and for cells, but again, just having, so they had the same level of level of importance, and they're just one below the other, and like it's unclear which takes precedence or is more important or whatever. So yeah, because I knew what to expect, I perhaps like just handled it better. I knew not to click or what not to try, but as a first-time user, I'm not sure. And yeah.
So really trying to make the distinction between the high-level article versioning and then the block-based versioning, and that block-based versioning is probably much less important in most cases, I would say.
Yes, also another thing that kind of surprised me, like caught me by surprise, was exactly that, what you just did, like enter edit mode. Why is that a necessity? Why can't I just start doing things?
It's I think at the moment it might be a mechanical, technical necessity
So me as a
to
user,
some degree.
open an editor,
Mhm.
I kind of expect to be able to edit things, and like it took me a few seconds to realize, oh, there's edit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think and this is something that we did really struggle with at the beginning of some of the design, is separating out that sort of viewing experience from the editing experience. And we like maybe settled on something that is an in between, which is the worst of both worlds, maybe. Is is that you do have to transition between these modes of working and go from and like choose to not be viewing the content, and start actually editing the content.
Yeah, because people are used to Google Docs and Notion or whatever.
Yep.
They are expect. I mean, at least so everything that I'm saying obviously has a bias. But
Yep.
Mhm.
like this is an editor. I heard about Curvenote. It is editor for academics, and like
Yep.
I open it up and like it doesn't
can't
let me
edit.
start editing. So like, what went wrong? I'm not sure. So other apps are like in the mode for viewing and editing is one and the same thing. Or like if you have that you're now editing interface, just be more explicit somehow visually about it. Like just be more, at least like if it's just view, like highlight that somehow or something like that. So you know what to expect. Because that, like even that button, just edit and stop editing, is very
It's small and it's not
yeah, it's
well,
not visible.
It's not filled. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really like the feedback of like, this is an editor, and then I get to the page and I can't edit it.
and
which is
I get the point, but like yeah, it's like maybe if I can start editing and it's something that that I have a permission to edit, does it just copy to my account, like make a copy and then I start editing my own version or something like that. But I was really surprised to not being able to edit it right away. Like
yeah.
But yeah, just on the UI UX side, like those intents and levels of importance, like you need to somehow guide the user what's the like process that they need to go through in order to achieve something. And like the first thing that you see is when you open a new article, is like this huge blue box on the side that's all empty, and like, okay, what do I do with it? And then I tried changing image and I didn't succeed in that, which was quite concerning. Okay, and then like, okay, I added the article. Why is there, I'm not sure now, is there a default file that gets added? Yeah, there is introduction.
Yeah, there's no way to, there's no placeholder image. There's no way to then click on the placeholder in place and sort of edit it.
It was just, and is there those three dots on the upper right? There's some settings somewhere.
There is. You come in here to settings.
Yeah, and
then you can create a thumbnail. But these things are only visible when you're in edit mode.
Yeah, that's.
And when we come out of the edit mode, then we get a slightly different set of options.
Yeah, but at least to me, and again, this is very.
Yeah. No, this is great.
No, I think this is probably too many people. Dragon. I think this is exactly what we're
so like, how do I change
trying to learn
that introduction? Like figure out that it's all the way on the right. Like.
Yeah. We do something different over here. You see that when you start with your profile picture, we've got this in place.
Yeah.
So maybe even if we just had a placeholder image and an in place that gets you to the whole settings, maybe.
Yeah.
Like you say, the buttons are in the right place.
I also, one of the things that we had early on and is still killing us a little bit is if you go back to that project, Steve.
Sorry. Yeah. This one?
Yeah, and just go to the project page of this. Is this, there we go.
Oh, here. Yeah.
Just that guy, yeah. Like this whole part of the project can actually disappear. Like if you think about a Notion, is all of their project level settings are actually hidden in the nav, and you never actually enter sort of a project overview page first. And so I think that's probably where we're going to go, is like this part of the page disappears, and where a lot of the confusion, I think, with the nav that you were talking about is that the settings icon, which is in this view in the top right, which probably you could have discovered, is not actually accessible from the navigation side, like when you're actually in the article.
There's some disparity between, like, on your profile, you're editing the image in place, like exactly on the image, and here you're editing on some other place. So like you don't understand well, like, okay, what's the principle, like what's the general approach if I want to edit, to change some image. So yeah, just being, I don't know, more uniform about how to achieve things. I know if I want to rename things, is it always in some settings of a kind, or can I also click and change it in place?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I'm excited to do a pass on that sort of stuff. I think the settings and project navigation, hopefully we'll make some changes actually in this next week. The editing and like teasing apart that view only versus like the editing experience, that one's still something that I struggle with, like thinking through that. And I think that's mostly because all of the examples out there, with the sole exception of Confluence, it's all real time, most up-to-date version that you're always editing. And we have these, like, that sort of ability to view a previous version, or like, and that just comes with so many different complications that we're, well, I don't know, not handling well at the editing side. If you come in, want to edit something and can't.
I don't know anybody that's like satisfied with how Confluence and how Atlassian products are. So being in the same category as them, maybe not the recommended way.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair.
Could you start thinking about it as pinning stuff as well, though? So instead of versioning and then opening a draft that you're editing, if you think about that, you're always potentially editing, or you're always editing, but maybe there's no current changes since the last sort of pinned version. And then as you move forward, when you hit save, the experience is more like, oh, you're pinning and still moving forward.
Yeah, you're like committing.
Yeah, and I know that's a subtle difference, but maybe if it could feel more like that, that would be more intuitive. And then we get rid of edit mode, but there's always changes unless you pin a new version or save a new version.
I mean, me as a user, I'm not now even sure what happens. Like if I'm in edit mode and I just close the app, the browser, like what happens? Did I lose my work?
No, this is the thing, because it's like Google Docs, it's always there. But
so
it's always
working
there.
Like Google Docs already. But
it's always there, but it's potentially one step away from you. In that when you I think we added this little hint just as to try and communicate that. But if I close that now or browse back here, now I've come back and I haven't saved the version yet, so I haven't made my snapshot yet. But as soon as I do, then whenever I browse back to this page, I get back to this version. If I now go and do some more work, and now I could browse away, close the tab, come back, or stop editing. Now, when I come back to this page, and this is a disconnect we've had with people, I think, where people have come back and, where's my stuff? A bit.
Yeah.
And that, but what this means up here is not communicating it enough that somebody's already started a new version of your thing.
Yeah, for
And
me
then
as
you
a
get
user,
that.
it's utterly confusing. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah. No, it's like you just want to land here and just like you're in this world. It's an editor. And
like other people will view only what was last saved, and like it's fine for them because like they're viewing what I committed as the latest version, right? But me as an author, like exactly that point, like where's my work?
Yeah. And just like this is an editor. Okay, cool. I actually quite like that difference of coming in and saying this is an editing experience, and like we're changing everything really to be focused on the author editing experience, and then we have different probably publishing workflows for committing that work, saving that work, and getting it out to be seen by other people.
Yeah. And then if you're a viewer, you either don't see, if you don't have the ability to edit, you just got the ability to see these historical versions. Or if you're anonymous, you've just got the ability to view on things that people have published.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dragan, that's great feedback.
Yeah, I would compare it perhaps. Yeah, for sure. I would perhaps compare it to again versioning, like Git. Like what you staged is still not visible to anyone on remote branch, right? So whoever is checking out the remote thing is just getting the latest commit that was actually pushed, and in your terminology, it is saved version. But again, you as an editor, you as an author, you still have that staged files and in progress and draft access. And once you save the version, like that's when it becomes available to other people as well, or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that's cool.
Okay, I gotta jump. So
it's fine.
So,
Thank you.
Okay, that's the next month of work for us. You're 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's even less than.
How's your?
Sorry for that.
No, it's amazing. How's your stuff going? Are you still?
Oh, I spent like maybe 3 hours tops, but yeah, it's we'll see. We'll figure it out some way, somehow, sometime.
Yeah, cool. Well, looking forward to bumping into you again, hopefully next week.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll see you. I'll try to catch up because it's fun being in these meetings.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic to have you here. And really valuable feedback. Thank you.
Cool.
Sorry for messing everything up.
No,
That's good.
It's amazing.
Okay, take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.